We will start now for the Q&A exercise. Est-ce que quelqu'un a des questions à poser?
Was the film shot in the US or?
No, it was shot in around Hamburg.
Ah.
Ça a été tourné donc vers Hambourg.
Fortunately, it doesn't matter how the forest really looks like. So, I mean, we had some establishing shots from the States, from California, but for practical reasons, it was easier to shoot it there.
Oh bah, ça ressemble à des forêts de Californie ou autre, mais c'était bien en Allemagne, c'était plus facile pour eux de tourner dans cet environnement-là.
And how did you come with this idea? What was your main inspiration?
Well, the inspiration was the script, and it was during COVID, and a friend of mine who's the producer of this movie, he recommended some internet websites where people post screenplays. And since I didn't have a lot to do, I just thought, well, let me take a look. And I didn't have high hopes to find something, but it was like something to do. So, I mean, fortunately it was under B and not under X or something. So I came across the log line and it sounded like something that's interesting and maybe it's something, you know, that is doable or that is easier to pull off than New York is, you know, in flames and stuff like that. So I read the script and I just couldn't put it away. It was just something I did not know where it was going. I couldn't figure out, and every time I thought I had figured out what was going on, it just like threw a curveball and it was something completely different. And that somehow spoke to me. I just like the mystery of it, and I like the writing, I like the dialogues and the dynamics of the characters. And I mean, it's more like a play almost than a movie, so we try to make it obviously a bit more interesting. And it was also a challenge to see, can we do a movie that is set literally in one location with one of the actors not moving at all and somehow make it interesting and compelling. And because it was on such a low scale with basically just two actors, it was just something worth trying. And you know, that's what we did. And so I found that script, I contacted the writer, who is a Canadian, and I said, hey, I want to do it. And he was completely open, and then I sent it to Michael. I knew Michael, the main actor, who's Nolan from a movie I did before, Pathology. If any of you guys know that. He read it and he liked it, and that's how we sort of got it started.
C'était un peu long, des gens voudraient que je vous donne une traduction. Je pense que le point le plus intéressant, c'est de savoir que le script vient d'un site sur lequel les gens peuvent poster des scénarios, etc. Et que c'est son ami producteur qui lui a conseillé d'aller voir s'il trouvait des scripts intéressants. Et que c'est là qu'il l'a trouvé. Et que ce qui lui a donné envie, c'est le côté mystérieux, qu'en lisant le scénario, il ne savait pas où ça allait, il n'arrivait pas à trouver le poteau rose. Et que ça lui a donné envie de le mettre en scène, ainsi que de lui donner un côté peut-être prenant, dynamique, parce que ça ressemblait beaucoup à une pièce de théâtre. Donc, voilà pour la petite synthèse. Est-ce que vous pouvez aussi vas-y.
I found really interesting how you managed to have basically just one point of view. You are only based on that single tree, and you nearly never have the same point of view. It's moving all the time, and it's always keeping it relevant and interesting. So I was wondering, how did you prepare for that to only film basically one tree?
Well, when you have a concept that's very confined basically in visuals or in locations, I don't know, that was one of the challenges. How do I keep it interesting so that people after 20 minutes don't say, oh, I've seen it now. How can you make it different? So there was one thing that I did, I was just thinking in terms of character. So the first thought was like, okay, if you wake up there, you're in all panic mode, I would think, as a person. So in my opinion, it was like you use wide lenses, everything's in focus, you try to figure out, is there something that I see around? And we applied that. So basically we said, like, from whatever, scene 1 to scene 5 to the first night, we just have him in that mode. So everything's in focus, everything's wide angle. Even if we go in with the camera, it's a wide angle lens. And then as the story progresses, we went slowly to narrow lenses, and we brought the f-stop down, which causes the depth of field to change a little bit. So the idea was like, as he sits there, he gets more kind of depressed and everything is sinking in, and at one point, sort of like everything just blurs for him and it's just focused on him, everything kind of gets out of focus, so we could kind of progress that visually. And we had to really force it. We put it in the script or in the script notes and said like, no, on this day for this scene we need to work these lenses, we need to use on this f-stop, and then we followed that. And well, I hope that this would add something instead of just like being random. And also it was like in the beginning, it's very handheld, it's very shaky, it's very movable because he's nervous and he's looking around, and towards the end the camera becomes more static and more controlled and more and hardly moving. Yeah, and that's how we were trying. And then obviously you try to find different angles, but if you use different lenses, this will offer you, again, different opportunities for framings. But apart from that, it was just that one tree, literally, and there was nothing really we could do. We knew how the sun would move, so we obviously try to keep it like in good light and backlit and all of that. But yeah, that's sort of like how we did it.
Ah oui, du coup, l'un des gros challenges du film, c'était de partir d'un seul endroit, un homme attaché à un arbre, mais que le spectateur ne s'ennuie pas après 20 minutes en revanche, ça se répète, etc. Donc il a utilisé plein d'angles de caméra, plein de types de lentilles différentes pour pouvoir représenter l'état d'esprit du personnage, qui au début est en état de panique, donc ça bouge beaucoup, il y a beaucoup de flou, etc. Et plus le film passe, plus il y a plutôt un état dépressif qui s'installe, et du coup ça se ressent, en tout cas c'est ce qu'il a essayé de faire, dans les mouvements de caméra, le type d'angle, etc.
So my question is, what was the purpose of the dream, and what did you expect that could bring to the movie, to the dream when they cut the trees?
Well, I mean, it was sort of like, so trying to get into Nolan's head, it's sort of like, you know, what he doesn't know apparently, obviously what is going on, so it could be something that it has something to do with trees and with nature and stuff like that, that he's tied to that. So it was sort of like that. It's kind of like a riff to try to put you in different ideas also as the viewer, not just for him, but also to put the viewer into the kind of like, why the hell is he there? Did he do something, you know, first it's nature, maybe he did something bad there and stuff like that, and then it slowly progresses.
Yeah, it was really effective, and it made us think to his past and try to think, yeah, what has he done? So, what done for this?
Thank you.
Du coup, la scène du rêve, c'était un peu une manière d'envoyer le spectateur sur des fausses pistes, mais aussi de représenter son état d'esprit à lui, au personnage qui se demande qu'est-ce qu'il fout là, et peut-être qu'une des possibilités était liée à la nature, à quelque chose qu'il avait fait lui ou quoi. Donc, effectivement, il faut vous embrouiller au maximum. Oui.
The outdoors man, he was quite eloquent for the role and everything. Was there some kind of symbolism behind him rather than just the revenge? Was he something more than just human in a way to you too?
Not really. I just try to, when you read the script, when I read the script first, you think like, oh, here's that redneck guy, and you have a certain idea, like pickup truck, redneck, you know, just like all of that. And I just try to make him a little bit more interesting than just like a straight up redneck guy. So that's why he's sort of like has all these quirks, you know, when he brings out that little food thing, or when he sits there and laughs, and you know, when he goes into the tent, he brushes his teeth and stuff like that. I just wanted to add something that makes him a bit more interesting and a bit more off, so he's not your normal, you know, bad guy. And it also puts you in question really of what is this guy, because he's sort of like, he has moments where he appears kind of friendly and, you know, approachable, and I found that interesting and kind of like disturbing, because I was hoping, just like if you watch the movie, that you don't really know, you know, if he's just one-dimensional and bad, then it's one thing, but I think it's more interesting if you really don't know what this guy's issue is.
Donc il n'y a pas spécialement de symbolique particulière derrière les agissements de l'antagoniste, etc. Mais l'objectif, c'était tout de même d'en faire quelque chose de plus que juste un redneck méchant, comme on peut en voir dans beaucoup de survival, etc. Et donc ça a été ça l'idée, d'en faire un personnage qui peut sembler un peu plus profond, un peu plus intéressant, qui de temps en temps semble même amicale, sympa. On se dit que peut-être il va pouvoir s'en sortir, mais que la scène d'après, vous l'avez vu, il est complètement instable et il devient même effrayant par moment. Donc voilà, l'idée c'était de ne pas avoir un antagoniste unidimensionnel et que ce ne soit pas le redneck qu'on a déjà vu 15 000 fois, quoi.
It's not the bad guy, he's right.
It's kind of questionable morally, but
Et puis John Kramer est un grand héros aussi, quoi. Donc, à ce moment-là, bon, voilà, vous l'avez repéré, hein. Peut-être encore une impression, une question, un partage. Oui.
Est-ce que ça a été sa première fois de filmer dans un environnement naturel comme ça? Est-ce que ça a induit des contraintes, des choses comme ça qui a été son ressenti par rapport à un tournage autant dans la nature, quoi? Il y a très peu d'environnements, j'imagine, où il y a du contrôle. Donc comment est-ce qu'il a pu gérer ça?
Was that your first experience shooting in forest, and was it difficult? Do you have some trouble?
How long did it last?
We shot it in 9 days, and in the forest, I don't know, I might have shot in the forest before, but not to that extent, obviously. But it was quite easy, I must say. We got lucky with the weather. We got on one day, we got rained out, but we used it in the film, so it kind of works. Apart from that, there wasn't really a big issue that we had, except for that the actor who's the outdoorsman, AJ, came in, and we did a rehearsal with him just to, we went to the forest and just said, oh, this is set, and we can block it out, because we had to shoot this first scene when he appears, that's 26 pages. We had to shoot it in a day, and so we better block it out and rehearse it a little bit to get it done. And at the end of sort of like, it was all going well, and then he had this axe, and he was sort of like toying around with it and dropped it and tried to catch it. And as he got it up, like he was like bleeding like from his hand, and he was like, it's fine. I just like just like put a plaster on it, but it was like bleeding. And it's like, okay, no, it's not fine. We don't put a plaster on. No, we can super glue it. He was like kind of like in America. Oh, then I was like, fuck no, this doesn't look good. So he had to go to the hospital, and he barely missed one of his tendons. But he had to get stitches, and then he had to get this big white bandage. And it's for real. I mean, you see it in the movie, and I mean, the evening before we shot with him, it was like, fuck, what do we do? Do we need to address it? Would people ask, why does he have a bandaged hand? Can we somehow, because the doctor said we can't take it off, it has to stay like that. So, and it's very obvious in your face. But, well, we eventually decided not to address it and just like have him have it. And so far, no one has questioned it. That was the only thing really that happened. Apart from that, it all went really well.
It's a living character.
Yeah, I think it brings some mystery. I was wondering if it would be relevant sometimes, but it brings some mystery, in my opinion. It's a good idea to just keep it and not address it.
I mean, he even could have had it when he was like, whatever, dragging Nolan to the tree or getting him there, that he injured himself.
Or killing some guy.
That's how we addressed it, basically.
Du coup, en fait, il n'y a pas eu tant de difficultés que ça à tourner dans la forêt, même si c'était